Oh my God. TLO. You were
just
saying
revealed his secret. Everybody knows now. Everybody knows his secrets. That's where the creativity comes from.
I would have never put that past him. I can't believe it. But here we go. We are going to be loading up onto Prime Terraces to start off this best of 5 to find out who is moving on into the semi-finals. Dario, TLO of the Wunderwunsch goes up against PtitDrogo.
PtitDrogo.
Never enough.
Close enough.
I was never going to get it right, so I had a stab in the dark, that's for sure. All right, Prime Terraces to start this off, Todd.
There was some funny chat already in the lobby. Drogo was talking to Funka. He was like, you really need to mess something up big time to lose on this map. So we'll see if TLO does that.
Let's get into it then. Spawning down at the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg player representing Team Liquid. It is TLO.
The Wunderwunsch. We really need to stop with this.
It echoes through eternity if you say it long
Nate
enough.
has infected us with his memes.
He's a terrible person. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss representing My Insanity. It is PtitDrogo.
PtitDrogo, yeah. The man, the legend. A guy who, in Heart of the Swarm, had this Sentry Stalker style that he played so well with, but then again, so many people did. And now in Legacy of the Void has been a little bit more of an innovator, I feel like. In the European scene was one of the first guys who really showed how to open double gateway, adapt very well, go into a Stargate, Oracles, and then played Chargelot, Archon. Do a lot of good moves, like leave Zealots out on the map if you're facing Lurkers, counter-attack with them, because in the fight they won't actually help that much, they would just die. And he's just so impressive against Zerg. So now it's going to be the, I want to say, traditional double gateway opener here. Does he go for something like a gold? He was talking in a game lobby earlier about how this map can be really difficult to play on. So.
Right. If he did go for a gold, what are the difficulties of Protoss here? I mean, obviously they don't particularly like this map anyway against Zergs, but going for a gold, are you just worried about Lings really kind of ramping up pressure on that? What are you worried about?
It's very hard for any Ling attacks to properly work against the gold, because you're going to have overcharge, and usually you're going to have enough back at home. There's definitely, though, some Roach Ravager attacks that can be tough. Later down the line, if Zerg chooses to do a 2 or 3 base attack with a lot of units, it's also going to be very exposed. You know, it's very open, the area. You're gonna rely mostly on the overcharges to do damage, but then if Zerg has enough Ravagers, they can hit the pylons with the bile very nicely and snipe them, and then you run out of pylons and you cannot die. So that can be tough in that regard, but usually you have some sort of a plan that involves dealing with this tile when you go for the gold.
Adepts are on the way here to start putting the pressure on over the other side of the map for now.
This is a really cool move to take the gas here, because TLO knows that Drogo's gonna wanna go into double Adept and go across the map to snipe some drones, so he can't really have anything back at home to defend against this. So it's really cool that not only he's scouted, but he's annoying his opponent already with stealing the gas, and he's probably going to force Drogo to take one of the simulators on his natural instead.
So this has knock-on effects in terms of how quickly you may want to tech behind it or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since Drogo loves to go Stargate behind this. Usually you have your double gas now already. Yeah. You skip on Mothership Core for quite some time because you're not really fearing anything, like speed will never finish that fast. And then you go for Stargate and then Mothership Core down the line. But now, this has been slowed down so much by TLO. The creativity with the assimilator still is already there.
It's already there. It's showing through. He's just swiping his little composition stick left and right.
Listening to Rap Gods gave him inspiration.
Yeah, okay. Now the composition stick doesn't really make much sense. I can't even remember the little name for that. But anyway, Adepts are going to position themselves in between this location. Can't really get too much done at the natural because of the Spine Crawler and the Queen.
How many? Did he have 4? Yeah, he had 4.
Moving away.
You need to fix that. Yeah, the Spine's actually helping so much. TLO already looking on point here. I mean, sure, it's Prime Terraces and it's a really tough map for Protoss, but as far as reads, anticipation, and all that go, TLO is definitely doing everything right here so far in this game.
So is PtitDrogo the kind of Protoss that's going to be making a lot of Adepts and looking to kind of charge it down?
Well, usually I think not particularly, but on this map, after he talked about how difficult it can be to win against Zerg, I definitely expect something very aggressive here. I don't think he's going to sit back. He's, I think, going to want to do something drastic, maybe a 2-base. A lot of gateways, lots of adepts with resonating blades, maybe.
He's going to have to throw down foot and overcharge there to push those Zerglings away. I did get himself 4 worker kills with that, so those kind of the risks that you take if you take a base that is this wide open. Even just a little bit of damage is good here for our TLO.
Yeah, and the second goal starting here, this is ideal for the Zerg player. You need to do that a lot of the time. Burrow already starts here. So this is typical TLO here.
Oh, yeah.
He's already anticipating, I think, some kind of 2-base. most likely without a robo or any kind of detection. If you have burrow and roaches, this is just ideal. You burrow, unburrow, snipe something, reburrow, let your units regenerate before unburrowing. Again, it's just so hard for Protoss to make any kind of timing like this work against burrow.
It used to be one of his staples in terms of shutting Protoss down. Even in Heart of the Swarm, he would go to burrow to deal with those kind of gateway pressures. Lings come in again. Do they get anything? I'm not quite sure if they got a probe or two there, but...
Oh, this actually could do so much damage. Roaches are on the way, and I'm gonna headshot here in a second.
A Psionic Transfer actually coming in very, very aggressively, picking up the Queen to start things off. Resonating Glaives is not done just yet, so we're not able to get the maximum amount of damage done with these Adepts, but they're not even going to retreat on out there with the Psionic Transfer.
He knew that the drones were coming back here, Drogo, so he canceled that transfer here with the Shades. Stayed there, and he's preventing even more mining time. And now he's going to go down and chase the drones on the map.
And he's still looking for them. He's getting a lot of work done with this.
And behind is more gateway starting, so he's going to go for a follow-up attack.
And he only lost like 1 or 2 of the Adepts during that attack. 4 in total because of the previous 2 that died.
What's on the natural of Drogo, actually? Is he going to get a Nexus? No, okay, that's Sun Overlord.
Nah, okay. Well,
so still thinking 2 bases here right now. Needs to be careful, the Roaches are pretty good against Adepts here.
Yeah, especially without Resonating Glaives here. He can't really do too much with that. And now he separates them off, and unfortunately the Roaches have to chase one or the other, and this one is going to fizzle out. Oh, he actually goes for it.
Yeah, because the Roaches are really slow. They're quite a bit behind. You can almost always get kills. Nice burrow here from TLO. That's also another way you can use burrow very nicely against Adepts.
That burrow was brilliant. He actually dodged a whole wave of glaives there from them, and they're going to Psionic Transfer down towards the main base. At the moment, PtitDrogo is keeping him completely on the run around here.
Oh, and he's in 2 places at once. I think TLO is in the middle of the map. What is he going to do? Is he going to counter-attack? Yeah, I think he's going to go for it. TLO's losing patience. Drogo is doing too much damage. So TLO might just all in here. With the amount of drones that he's already lost, he's on 28 against 36 probes.
Wow.
He's going to have to try and win it right now across the map.
If frustration ever showed in a player's game, this is certainly one of them.
I think Drogo anticipated that. That's the reason he was going for Blink. I was really surprised, but if you mass Adept against Mass Roach and Ravager, it can be really tough. But if you go for a lot of Stalkers, you can just kite back against these Roaches and Ravagers. Drogo might be doing this.
Photon Overcharge was focusing the Ravager there as well at the start of that fight, so that was a good choice from him. Underpowering some of these gateways, though, doesn't have as many reinforcements as possible to actually get this going, but the Adepts at the back are still doing a lot of damage. More pylons are going to go down with this Photon Overcharge being cancelled, but he doesn't really have that many units here. He needs to get more warped in.
This is what I was talking about. All of these pylons are going to die. They get shot down very quickly here against this many Ravager and Roaches, especially when there is Bile. The Adepts are just going to walk them back home. Drogo needs to defend here right now. He's lost quite a few probes there.
Still, Corrosive Bile was doing some work on those units warping in. 11 workers have gone down, but at the same time, if all of this gets cleaned up, the economy back at home has also been ravaged for TLO.
Burrow is so sick, and the Burrow micro of TLO was on point here the whole time. I think he might have done it here. He's done so much damage.
Jeez, 18 workers have gone down during all of this. Still more warpings come along. There's not that many units left over, but the reinforcing Roaches could seal the deal here for TLO.
Oh, Zealots. Usually when you warp Zealots, it's the beginning of the end, unless your name is Roddy, and in this case, I don't think Drogo is going to be any exception here. Running out of units, these Roaches are killing everything, and Burrow is just saving them all.
15 Roaches on the field against 1 Zealot and 1 Mothership Core with Photon Overcharge still doing some damage, but he's burrowing the Roaches very, very wisely here, just to save any single one that would go low during all of this, and trying to get on towards that Stalker as well. But there you go, GG. TLO takes it after some great aggression by PtitDrogo. TLO's frustration in the end pays off. He just goes for the kill.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't necessarily like super frustrated or something, but it was like a situation of saying, I don't have time to walk back, enough is enough. You want to be out on the map attacking me, I'm just going to attack you and kill you instead. And he went for it, and Drogo just wasn't ready. He would have needed more pylons, more units than that, so it was a clutch timing here by TLO on the map that definitely favored for this kind of attack.
No, I agree with you there, and I will go back on the statement in saying there is actually a fine line between the potential frustration and calculated risk in the end, where he knows that he's going to be able to do a lot because there is so much investment of units at the other side that are working on economy but not necessarily working on the army count. So
I mean, we're talking about a guy who meditates under cascades somewhere in the world to prepare for tournaments, so
cross legs with that ball doing this.
He's not supposed to get frustrated, you know. He's just like, this is the right move, and okay, I do a terrible, I do a terrible German impression, but that was good, I think, to go for this attack. Like he definitely couldn't walk back with his Roaches. He would have taken forever, then he would have already lost a lot of drones.
And then 2 packs of Adepts would always be dancing anyway. So,
and the thing is, I really felt like PtitDrogo was anticipating that he was going to be attacked at some point, so he was going to go into Blink and Stalkers, but it hit just before he was going to have enough, especially in terms of pylons. He only had like, what, 3, 4 pylons at that base, which got sniped pretty much instantly when TLO got there, because there wasn't units plus pylons, it was just pylons. So if there had been, say, 7 to 8 pylons on that base, I think Drogo actually survives and wins the game, because across the map, he's just wrecking the economy of TLO completely.
And that's where the chaos began before all of these little Roach Ravager attacks. But again, good calculation really by TLO, understanding that he could break this location.
You see, look, these 2 gateways were unpowered as well, and Drogo was going very high on minerals there.
That's quite the start to this series, to say the least. Very, very aggressive, really on both sides. Almost kind of bit tempted out there by PtitDrogo against TLO. But he takes the first game here in this best of 5. And who knows? I mean, the games could still continue to be this quick. But as you said, Prime Terraces, it's not exactly the best of maps there for PtitDrogo.
That's one way to say it, yeah. Now we're going to be on Dust Towers. I think Drogo is going to be a lot happier about this. I thought it was really interesting that Snoot mentioned that he practiced a lot with Drogo. I feel like these two are like, they are the top of their race in your European scene. They really respect each other, and you can probably guess that when they practice together, they just learn so much off of each other, and they prepare for every single other match that they could have to end up playing in another tournament. So it's a good time to start applying that knowledge here.
All right, Dust Towers, map number 2, as we have spawning up at the top right-hand corner. Currently 1 game up in this best of 5 representing Team Liquid. It is TLO. Doing rather well
sharp as ever.
things.
Do you think he has this one song on repeat the whole time?
Yeah, just one. And then to bottom, we have our blue Protoss representing My Insanity. It is PtitDrogo. The Carl.
Shouldn't let the first map get to him. He's got quite a few maps here to play, and a good opportunity to come back in this with how good he is in the matchup. So definitely shouldn't worry about Prime Terraces too much, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if he went for his usual double gateway opener with a quick nexus and did his thing with the adepts. And then maybe a Stargate. Like, you don't always have to do the Stargates. That's the thing. The Stargate is a threat.
Right.
But you don't always do it. Back when he played against Elaser at Home Story Cup, he did it on the first map on Lerela Crest, and then in map number 2, Drogo was thinking, well, he's probably going to expect the Stargate again, so this time I'm not going to make it and hope he gets spores. Prevent him from scouting, and I'll only have ground, and he will have made spores for nothing. So that's a very good way, I feel, to play in a best of 3, best of 5, because you really keep your opponent wandering from game to game, and it's very hard for them to adjust. They have to scout, and sometimes, you know, it's very hard to properly scout what you're up against.
And in this game, we see that double gas has already been taken for PtitDrogo, so it's not like he's having to deal with any drones stealing those gas geysers, so he can, in theory, play out the start of the opener, but to like a more efficient pace.
If you're a Protoss player and you're not sure how to play against Zerg, take out your notepads, look at this production tab, and write everything down, because Drogo's builds are so good. Like, he's going to start Cybercore now, and his second gateway and core are going to finish when his second nexus is already up. So he's going to be able to chrono boost out 2 adepts at the same time for the double gateway. Like, everything lines up perfectly, it looks like, when Drogo's playing, you know, like, which you might be like, okay, he's a pro gamer, it's his job, of course he's going to line it perfectly. Well, try to do a similar build for the first 5 minutes. You're going to see how hard it can be to actually put into perspective in a game.
If it's going to be the double adepts here, I mean, we don't see any gas for TLO because he's taking his 3rd hatchery a little bit quicker. How does that interact if you don't have, like, speed, for example, to deal with adepts?
You rely more on queens and having a couple links as well as following the shades and making sure they are where the adepts could transfer somewhere. And actually, I think, this is definitely calculated here by TLO. Like, he knows that Drogo loves to open like this, so he was like, okay, I'm not going to sacrifice any minerals to go into gas and speed early on. He probably knows that this is most likely going to come, knows about the possibility of a Stargate behind this, which, by the way, hasn't started yet. It's Mothership Core being added on quickly.
And actually, you are totally on the money there with the Queens, because he's adding on 3 more behind the 2 that are already out. So he's going to start creep spread with the 2 that are already existing, and then try and kind of drag this out a little bit longer. Because when you've got that kind of good creep spread already going so early on,
the thing is, though,
powerful.
Queens are not really that fast, and there won't be enough creep to connect those bases in the start. So there is a chance Drogo goes for it, one of the bases, and 2 adepts, they one-shot drones. So you can't even start any Spore or Evo on time to save them. So what you need to do usually is leave the base that's being sieged by these adepts, I guess that's one way to say it, to make sure they don't one-shot or one-volley these units. And look, that base is exposed here. The Queen was elsewhere.
It's getting actually quite a lot of damage done to those adepts already with these Zerglings. They're trapped completely.
Yeah, actually overextension a little bit for Drogo.
That's a great pickup. He didn't do anything with those. He lost a few Zerglings for 2 adepts. That's a great trade.
I thought the Queen wasn't there, but that's only because the screen here is very far away. He was actually right there, so TLO with the good defense. And just the third Nexus here behind this. Overlord's not really going to be able to see much because, I mean, nothing else has started. He's 2 sentries, probably knows there is no Stargates, most likely. Not going to have to start any sport. TLO in a good position, 45 drones to 40 probes.
All right.
He's going to drone up hard, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 4 Overlords about to pop across those 3 bases that have gone undeterred with how much economy he's been able to get out. Maybe, you know, just a few Zerglings for a few extra lava has gone into defensive units. But aside from that, I mean, he can't really pressure too much PtitDrogo, surely, at this point.
Yeah, it's... What?
Double Stargate.
Okay, yeah, we've seen this more and more. Like, we already saw some of this yesterday.
Yeah.
In Korea, it's been a very strong meta for a long time. Across every matchup, we've seen single Stargate, double Stargate, like multiple Stargate all the time. But in Europe, it's not been used nearly as much. But we're definitely seeing how much some of these European players watch every single one of the high-level games that are played over in Korea, and they're using some of these styles themselves, trying to copy it, so to speak, and use it as best as they can. And Drogo, this is definitely one of these instances here where I think he's going to be going for Phoenixes, and then down the line, Charge Lords, Archons, maybe some Immortals. Usually, though, Drogo, he loves his Robos. He loves getting multiple Robos, getting a lot of Immortals out. The thing is, though, right now, he might be taking a chance here with this, hoping that TLO does something a little bit crazy and gets caught off guard by a lot of Phoenixes.
Wow.
But in this case, because the thing about playing against a Zerg, a high-level Zerg, is that usually they all always have some sort of a style that you can anticipate. But TLO doesn't. TLO is like almost like a wheel of fortune of Zerg. Like he just spins it, he lands on lurkers and mutas, and he's like, all right, I guess I'll get a Spire and a Hydra then and like do both. But right now, it's only been a Hydra then and an Infestation Pit here for TLO.
Yeah, he's been taking up really, really fast. He's trying to block this location off from the Adepts, but he doesn't quite get that. It's only Zerglings, slow Zerglings with these Queens in support to deal with these Adepts that have already darted away from this location. Now Speed is there and ready to go, but it's very, very difficult here to deal with those Adepts when you've been taking up so fast.
And behind this, Phoenix production is continuing. Twilight Council and Forge have started. Only 3 drones will be sniped, but I guess he prevented some mining time, and now Drogo has caught up on the walker, and he's not done too. These 3 guys. Yeah, they still got some job to do here. And
sees the lurker then.
The good thing about this is that you don't just slow and weaken your opponent's economy. 8 drones, by the way, were sniped.
That's good.
Same walker counts. That's better for Drogo here. You don't only kind of weaken the economy of the opponent here, you also see his entire tech. Everything that there was to see, Drogo saw it. He saw the lurker then transforming. He knows that there is most likely going to be lurkers, obviously, with this. So now he can already start thinking about how to counter. He's already got Phoenixes to pick up those lurkers if he needs to. Charge Lord and Archons and Immortals is what he's going to need to add to this composition.
These are really good follow-ups, and it's, at the moment, already getting those Overlords, so potentially pushing TLO towards the supply block, but it doesn't look like that's going to be hit anytime soon. This is so many Phoenix. Any ground army that this is going to complement is just going to be in a fantastic spot.
Oh, wow. He's going to spare his Overlords? No.
Gotta kill them all.
Yeah.
Gotta kill them all.
Actually, like, these Infestors, they're going to be pretty scary for Drogo's Phoenixes. Like, if all of them get caught and sniped, then he's not going to have any more anything to really pick up the lurkers, so he's going to rely on his ground army. It can be tough to win with just ground. The War Prism is going to get spotted, but it's not the end of the world. Like, supply-wise, Drogo is doing fantastic. He's actually ahead. As long as he starts the 4th base soon, I really like Drogo's position still in this game.
Well, Burrow was the insurance policy, not only for gateway attacks, but also even the scouting purpose.
Oh, nice.
Catching some of those. But, I mean, killing over the Overlords, it's normally hard to steal Warp Prism coming in, but at least he saw it with a burrowed Ling down towards the bottom.
And now Drogo sees that there is no Hive. He's probably pretty happy. Because at this stage in the game, if Zerg hasn't started Hive, you're golden. Like, you know that your army is going to be really good against anything that the Zerg can be going for. When Fungal was wasted on 2 Phoenixes, you know exactly what the Zerg's producing. There's really not much that Drogo should be scared of right now. The main concern is going to be the lurkers. But he's just so good in dealing with them, and since he's still got Phoenixes, I think he's just going to aim at doing a timing down the line here when he has the 4th base set up. Actually, like, this is...
Sorry, guys.
This is not very good, is it?
Sorry, PtitDrogo. That's not going to survive very long.
He was standing on the edge of the crate. Maybe he thought that was outside of the vision, but...
maybe.
TLO's Eagle Eye does not miss this kind of thing.
No, he spots it just like Legolas, but... We have those lurkers going to be morphing in now. How many did he have any before? He does have a few before, I think. 1. I say a few, just you. Sorry, buddy.
No, there's a couple more now. He's up to 5, 6.
Just morph those ones in. So gonna get in a good defensive position, but the thing is that, I mean, there's not really too much aggression he's put on. There's actually, I think there's lings down towards the bottom that are gonna try and dart on in here, and there's actually not too much to block them, just this one Zealot that is in keen position.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, and Fleet Beacon actually starts. I really thought that Drogo was going to go for a timing here, but we've seen yesterday how attacking with a lot of units on the ground can be tough to work against lurkers. He was actually TLO against Lilbo, was it, right?
You're correct. Yes.
I think it was Lilbo attacking as TLO on Larry Crest, and TLO was just set up with a lot of units, and he ended up defending very nicely. Surely Drogo saw that game, he thought about it, he's like, okay, if this guy gets lurkers, I shouldn't be attacking into him. I should be waiting outside, taking more bases, trying to pick him apart, limb from limb. Oh, TLO!
Oh.
The creativity,
the
let it resonate.
Oh, he's going to actually pick up that entire Warp Prism once again. He's taking down 2 of them without taking any damage to them.
Hello. And 3 lurkers on the menu.
Oh my god.
Free buffet.
This is great play out of PtitDrogo, despite losing the Warp Prisms. All right, he's going to get loads of those already. Tries to transfuse one of them in a desperate attempt to save it. Neural Parasite on the way here for TLO.
It's TLO. It's just standard, right? Another day at the office. Actually, losing the Prism, I talked about this yesterday, is a big, big deal. I think it was on this map as well that Lilbo or somebody lost the Prism in the natural. Over there, Funka showing us. And I felt like that Warp Prism could have changed everything, actually. And in this case, the Warp Prism was lost again, so he starts another one. In Drogo's case, like, he's set up on 4 bases against Zerg on 4 bases. I think he's quite all right. But definitely would like to start on applying some damage by dropping Zealots and doing a big warp in on Zealots, somewhere in the natural, maybe.
There's definitely been damage on both sides. I mean, losing those 3 High Templars just then is a bit of a blunder for PtitDrogo, despite having an okay position with his army.
Yeah.
And, I mean, have the Tempests even been spotted? I mean, getting Neural Parasite's all good and dandy, but you're not really going to get close to Tempests, of all things. Unless he burrows in. No, is there an observer?
No, like, I mean, it'd be really hard to 5v2. I think he wants to use it on Immortals to kill everything on the ground.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then if you overrun on the ground, then you can just reinforce with Hydralisk and win against the air units. But in this case, TLO's actually moving across the map. I really feel like Drogo is missing an Oracle here to rebuild this entire army. He's going to come in from behind with the Warp Prism. Is that intentional? Feedbacks? Oh, he hesitated for a second, so didn't land any. TLO is in a rush. He knows that right now if he can siege that base, and he saw that Drogo was being hesitant, so he goes forward.
This is a good spot for him to try and do quite a bit of damage. It's difficult to actually get on towards those lurkers here, as they're already laying siege to this location. Gotta be very, very careful about how he's going to take into this engagement.
So they're not actually tanking for Drogo's army. They're turning around and killing Drogo's army. They're working against him somehow.
Oh my god.
The Phoenixes are going to fly back in there, but the damage has been done already. This 4th base might fall.
The Neural Parasite works wonders there at the moment. Still, the lurkers are getting into better positions. They don't have that much to tank for at the moment, but they're doing so much damage to this ground army. Zealot's now on towards them, though. He's lifted up a lot here to try and divide this army, and the Immortals are still standing strong against those lurkers. It's so close, so down to the wire.
TLO's going to be held, but I think he doesn't care, because behind this, he's got quite a big bank. He's got Ultra Tech.
Oh my god.
So it's just that basically he was essentially freeing supply and doing damage at the same time here by attacking. So it's quite all right. But I don't think Drogo wants to counter-attack here, does he?
I don't know.
Surely,
I mean, he doesn't have enough,
I
don't think. These 3 Tempests, if they kind of found a good siege spot, but you would have to reinforce them so well with a good ground army, and I don't think he has it just yet.
This wasn't one of those like late game timings where you attack and you have to win with it. Like, it's like your only army. Behind this, TLO, he still has an economy, 70 drones, and he's got Ultralist tech coming. So I think he's all right. He's just going to get a bunch of Filtralists, some Lurkers. I think down the line, though, you're supposed to go for Broodlords, but now there is already Tempest, so he might actually skip that because there is already Tempest, and instead go for Hydralisk. Hydralisk and Ultras, if both units are upgraded very well, it can work out. And look at that Roddy Mothership Core. It was on the map waiting to die.
The Hydras need to complement the Ultras so well, though, because there are still technically a lot of Immortals on the field here that can do quite a bit against these Ultras if they go a little bit too far forwards. 4 High Templars here with quite a lot of energy, which will rip up those Hydras if they're not careful as well. This is going to be difficult.
Is there enough? I don't think so.
No, I'm not sure why TLO is
there's
going
quite a few Immortals, like these Ultras will get sniped instantly. TLO getting a little bit desperate. I don't know why he attacks so early here. His supply is plummeting.
No, that was a catastrophe. He hardly killed anything in that engagement. There you go, GG. PtitDrogo will tie up the series after quite a strong performance. I mean, despite losing the Warp Prisms, he still did so much himself anyway.
I think TLO was a lot more committed than I thought to this attack because he didn't have a fifth. He was supposed to have a fifth with as many drones as he had. He had 70 plus, but he didn't have a fifth. He was only on 4 bases. So then he must have kind of panicked. He was like, okay, I did this attack. He didn't kill the fourth. He traded against his units, but he ended up holding. He lost patience. He was like, okay, I need to make something happen right now. Try to finish him before he makes 200 supply, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. Moved across the map.
Yeah.
There was already way too much for him to handle. So that was a bit weird.
Cool match, nevertheless. Nice to see how kind of that little back and forth that these guys had. And also, I mean, even the use of Neural Parasite and actually how well the Infestors did before that with the Fungals to lock down the Warp Prisms, catch each of them in tandem, that was really nice to see.
He used it on the Archons, I think, mostly, with maybe one Tempest.
Mostly Archons, though, you're right.
Yeah, which was good. I don't think you can get anything. If you try to go for the Immortals, I mean, you're going to go a little bit too behind enemy lines, and then your Infestor is going to die. So might not be the best of choices. But in this case, Drogo showed how solid he can be on this kind of map. And I feel like already with the Adept Harassment and Phoenixes, he was already in a very good position. You know, like I said, I really liked his position from the moment Adepts stopped harassing. He had seen the entire take of his opponent. Then he set up on 4 bases. He had all the upgrades that he wanted, all the take. And usually from there, if you're a player as solid as Drogo, you don't really lose. It takes like a Zerg to macro super well, take a fifth.
These pickups were great as well. I mean, just being able to catch any lurkers you can, never mind like 5 of them when they're over there, is a nice little shot. And this was TLO throwing himself at this base to try and kill it off.
That looked very scary at first with this fight for Drogo, but if you look at the army supply, he started the fight with much more army supply. TLO wasn't actually maxed out here, so maybe he attacked a little bit too early. He could have slow attacked this base instead of just rushing in. He could have maybe even sieged from the high ground there with a couple lurkers, considering he had, I think, some Infestors, some Queens to transfuse and all that. Maybe already lost patience a little bit too early in terms of attacking at the wrong time.
The thing with that army as well for TLO is he had 3 Overseers with it, but he didn't have any anti-air to try and pick up the Observer to then leave his lurkers in a good spot.
Yeah, actually, very good point, actually. That can change a fight like this.
Yeah.
I mentioned how, as Protoss here, having an Oracle is very good because you just reveal the entire Zerg army and you see the lurkers like for a long time. But there wasn't any Oracle around to do that. So if any Observer would have been picked up here, and I don't think TLO...
I think there was only one.
Yeah, there was probably only one. It would have been lots of trouble having to remake that, wasting a lot of time, then that 4th base would have died, and then it becomes a different game. TLO knows that he can just pull back, take a 5th base himself, but now we are going to be on Lerilla Crest, a map on which Drogo has already shown good things. I mentioned that game against Laser at Home Story Cup. Let's see if he can do it again here, or will the hometown favorites do his thing?
We are all square at the moment here between these two, as PtitDrogo manages to bring himself back into it. But I mean, even that first game could have gone a completely different way. Let's jump right on in to game number 3. So we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner. It is our Red Zerg representing Team Liquid. It is TLO.
The Wunderwunsch.
The Wunderwunsch.
The Wunderwunsch.
He is wunderbar. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss representing My Insanity. It is PtitDrogo.
French hero. The last one, the last French standing.
I won't say anything in French. I'm sorry.
Come on. I remember this WCS season, you said a couple things when we opened the show.
Did I?
You were like, très bien.
Oh,
all right?
God. what a bad time that was. No, nobody wants to hear my French. That's bad. All right, so first gateway on cross position, so it's always nice to see.
I hope we get to see some of Drogo's single Stargate opener here with Adepts, because I think he's so impressive with it, usually, and I'd like to see how TLO counters that. Like in last game, TLO took some damage, not from the... Actually, he handled the first Adept like the best I've seen. He didn't take any damage.
Yeah.
It was the second wave that really put him behind, that he wasn't ready for.
I mean, wasn't it still, I have to think his tech was being quite greedy. He was going into Infestation Pit and Hydralisk Den all at the same time. He'd only had his Zerglings be very late because he was...
I mean, you kind of have to do that, because if you only pick one tech route, then you get stuck on it, and if the opponent scouts it, then you're in trouble. But I think it's okay to start multiple tech and then pick later what you want to do exactly. The thing is, though, he just didn't have the units to deal with this first, second wave of Adepts, where there was like 6, 7 Adepts. And Drogo almost always goes for these tiles, so you need to be very careful. I think I watched Drogo the other day. I think he and Snoot were streaming. And Drogo in that session wasn't doing very well. Then they played this one game on Lerilla Crest where I guess he was getting a little bit desperate, and he did something like a 7-gate adept. So
Wow.
gonna have to be careful here for TLO not to get surprised by this kind of strat, because like if you don't see it coming, like our last game, he didn't see just a couple adept coming, and he was in so much trouble. If you don't see something like 7-gate adept coming, you're usually in lots of trouble. And the thing is, Drogo plays standard so well and so often that a lot of the time, players are just kind of gonna guess that he's gonna play standard no matter what, but it doesn't always. He knows how to throw in a couple of lanes. And TLO all alike as well, by the way. TLO can throw in some crazy timings himself if he wants to.
You're totally right about the adept
Stargate.
thing, though. Oh, Stargate.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, nicely done. But the thing is that you're right. If he didn't see something like that coming, you may as well just slap the wall back up and lock Leipzig off from the rest of Germany again, because TLO would have the hardest time in that regard to actually deal with something like that. But he always goes for the burrow. He loves his burrow. And I'm not really too surprised. We saw how great it was offensively. It can be good defensively.
The thing is, this is a very wide ramp around the natural.
Right.
So TLO, he's going for speed burrow. If he actually made drop and dropped in the main, he could actually attack with Zerglings there and then burrow every time the Lings are in trouble, and then unburrow later and force some detection, which you're never going to have as Protoss. You're never going to have detection at this point in the game. He's still mining a little bit of gas. I think there is a chance he just drops down an Evo and does a drop in the main, or even tries to run around the main Nexus.
And anticipating which drones are going to be attacked to start things off, saves 2 of them in the end, one only being shot because there was only 1 adept. So the other one is going to, well, actually, I think that was the original one that's just fleeing away.
No Evo steal, by the way, so no drop in this case by TLO. Which is a bit surprising. I feel like if you commit to burrow and speed, you might as well get drop. Make sure you get a couple Lings into the main.
I love the slow Overlord Zergling drops that you can do nowadays. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. But
every time I see burrow, I think offense, but I guess since adepts are just so strong in offense themselves, getting burrow is actually a defensive move for TLO here. He wants to make sure that the same as last game doesn't happen, where he was getting a bunch of drones getting shot down by these adepts all the time. Oh, this is actually going to survive, I think? No.
No.
Guys from the last shot here, so...
Yeah.
Bit of a supply block here.
At least he knows the Stargate's on the way here with the spores, so he can kind of handily, to some degree, deal with that. It's going to be a second Oracle on the way behind this as well, with extra Adepts being pumped out here. So, I mean, what are these Oracles really looking for? How many drones do you really have to get to make them worth it?
Well, I mean, already seeing that there is spores, usually you can't do much because... Third Oracle starts, wow.
Oh, that's a lot.
The thing about Oracles is that you want to keep them alive. You don't sacrifice them. You don't fly into a spore ever. Even if you fly into a base that there is a queen, you should know that your opponent's usually going to be good enough to pull drones and bring a second queen to shoot down your Oracle. So you don't want to lose it. So usually you will kill as many drones as you can before getting out. But in this case, there wasn't any hole in TLO's defense.
He must know.
Yeah, it's going to be mass adepts hitting in a second with the support of Oracles to go wherever there is no spore, but where there can be queens to try and take them out, and for the adepts to do a lot of damage.
I mean,
this is going to be so much, and this is going to hit really hard here.
It's not usual that a Bailing Nest goes down behind all of this, though. But he's anticipating the idea.
It's not going to finish on time.
No, it's going to be very, very close, but you're right, it's going to take
What base does he hit? I think the natural definitely is the best choice here. Those Lings are going to die so fast. This is so many adepts here. TLO could be in big trouble. He's trying to squeeze out more Lings. He's going to have to regroup with the queens. But the Oracles are going to be very dangerous as well.
Yeah, having them in support against these light units.
There is no spore in that base.
Oh, he repositioned it. He repositioned it down there, anticipating maybe the Oracles were going to come through with the Adept. Now they've just headed off into the main.
Does he have the energy?
Oh
yes, he does. He has the energy.
Oh, he's going to get so much damage done here. The Lings have nothing against these Adepts with the Oracles as well. And they're still out of range of the Spore Crawler. That's one that actually ends up dying there.
What did I tell you about Drogo throwing in some crazy build here? Mass Adept, triple Oracle, he goes for it. He kills 21 drones already. That's almost game.
That's ridiculous.
TLO is down to 22 drones against 48 pros. Behind these, Drogo can do anything he wants. Take a third, make more units, do a follow-up attack. And TLO is in just so much trouble from there.
What a beautiful attack there from PtitDrogo. And also even just the movement of it all. It really did flow. And you're seeing here TLO bow out. He knows it's done. GG. PtitDrogo takes game number 3 and he is happy with that one. Look at him go. He can be pumped.
That's also a one-time build. Like, these feel so good whenever you can pull them off. Used it on this map, probably thinking, you know, it's one of the harder maps to take a third place standard.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw in this crazy build. It's not going to be ready. And it develops as well from game to game. He was like, well, last game, you didn't defend so well from Adepts, the second wave that I made. So this time I'm going to make an even stronger wave. And even if you're ready for the timing I did in the previous game, you're not going to be ready for this one, because this is going to hit much harder with triple Oracle and more Adepts than last time.
And with a win like that, is the momentum now on PtitDrogo's side?
Yeah.
You saw how excited he was at the end of that game to just kind of get a victory like that. Surely he's going to be going into the next one feeling nigh on unstoppable.
This was a very important one because I think also the last two maps are Runes of Terrace and Alrina, if I'm not wrong. And these are quite alright maps for PtitDrogo. The thing is, like, Runes of Terrace is like one of the more standard maps where I think you're gonna feel comfortable a lot of the time if you're as good as Drogo in the matchup, and you have a lot of different builds, or even playing like purely standard here wouldn't be wrong. And then Alrina, he's shown in the past that on that map as well, he knows how to play the PvZ. You know, even though he had like this crazy, a little bit of a throw against the laser back at Home Story Cup, Drogo is really, really good on both of these maps. So it's so funny because like I see the chat over here, and then like I see a little bit of what Drogo's writing in between the games to Funka a little bit, and he was just writing like, I'm not in his head or something. I don't know what he means, like, but yeah, talking a little bit about the mind games and stuff, like, and like you can tell how confident he's getting here from some of these wins.
I thought.
Oh yeah, he wrote the third oracle for the revelation, all in caps. So I guess he was pretty happy with it.
Right, yeah, I see.
Yes, Funka, if you liked it or not.
I thought those oracles were completely out of range of the spot. I didn't quite see that one being shot down.
I wasn't sure if they were going to have enough energy, but I guess like the
Yeah.
first one that he sent, remember what happened to the first oracle? It flew there, saw Spore, and it was like, not even going to bother, going to pull back. He saved the energy, so he had so much energy then later for the revelation.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool. And again, as you say, not often you see this kind of build come to fruition, but it really kind of punished a lot. And when you've got this kind of expansive build potential in you, like PtitDrogo, because, you know, they said it, I mean, Snoop said it when he was practicing with him. He's a practice machine. If you are a practice machine like that, you're going to have a lot of strategies available to you.
I think you need to pull off this kind of build. Like, I feel like if I tried that on ladder, I'd get absolutely slaughtered. Like, I'd kill like 3 drones and lose everything. So, like, definitely perfect, or very good in the execution here, and that just worked out.
All right, game number 4 here as we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner. It is our hometown hopeful. It is Liquid TLO. He is 1 game away from elimination now, so he has to really ramp things up. And spawning in close by air positions up to the top right, we have our blue Protoss, 1 game away from the semis. It is PtitDrogo.
The vertical spawning locations here definitely encourage aggression, I think, because that third base usually a lot of the time is going to be towards the opponent unless you choose to pick the other one. But even the mains are just so close together that we could see something like a drop being used early on from Protoss with a Warp Prism, from Zerg maybe with an Overlord if TLO was to open with speed. It's actually one of the best maps to do this build, but most Protosses are solid enough to take very minimal damage from this kind of attack. And also, I don't know how much TLO would want to commit to something like this. No gas has gone down just yet. Oh, it does go down now, so there is a chance TLO goes for something like speed and gets an Evo Chamber as well to drop into the main of Drogo. Usually, you want to make quite a few links, because you want to hit the main and the natural at the same time. And some Zergs even run the links that they dropped in the main to the natural to make sure that they surround whatever unit is there.
How does it normally time out going up against something like an Adept opener? Are the Adepts usually across the other side of the map as this is happening?
If they are, Protoss could be in big trouble back at home because they're going to take damage. Even if they have Mothership Core, you know, Photon Overcharge usually can't be everywhere. Obviously, the Zerg's going to pull back, make sure it doesn't lose the links, then re-attack. And the Adepts, it's very hard to try to not die back at home for Protoss and at the same time manage your Adept back at home, in the Zerg base, I mean, to try and kill some drones. So
might get surrounded, you don't use Psionic Transference at the right time, etc.
We see Drogo already, though, with a pylon in the corner of his base. He's going to get the first scout here on TLO.
Good. Very important to have that pylon there just in case an Overlord was heading into that location.
His mind.
Yeah, he knows he has to cover all of his bases, and this probe gonna head on in and have a look around. Sees that the gas is mining, even clicks on it, checking how much gas has already been mined here, just in case he was to be hit by anything. Knows that speed's on the way now.
I explained many times how to time speeds in Legacy of the World. You remember how it is?
Oh, back when we were in...
Yeah, but now, you know, the timer is different because it's real time now. So now, I will redo it. Basically, you know that speed starts when a gas is at 1,900 because it starts at 2,000. And then you see speed starts. Speed is 79 seconds. So you add 1 minute 20 to what you see on the clock, and then you remove 1 second. And you know when exactly speed is going to start. And usually you want to be sealed off by this time, which on this map can be really tough because the natural is so wide. But now because Drogo didn't open with a quick Nexus, he's just going to have Adepts to work with in the start. He's going to have the Stargate follow-up that comes very quickly as well. And we could see a similar build here as last game, even though he starts the Nexus obviously behind this.
I was going to say also, the pylon in the mineral line for PtitDrogo up towards the natural in anticipation for any kind of move when his Nexus is being built is a really cool little thing to try.
Honestly, like in terms of build orders, it is so clean. Everything's made on time in perfect locations. Another pylon now in the middle line of his main in case he was to be hit there. This is so clean.
It's really cool to see. PtitDrogo at the moment is looking really on point. I think there are a few Europeans now. I mean, when Snoop was on the couch and he was saying, these top 8, they are really, really kind of level in skill, but there's like 4 or 5 of them, especially that are shining so well. PtitDrogo is one of those. I say that, he gets his Adepts around and then dies, but they were speedlings, so give and take.
I feel like right now, by the way, Drogo has 2 options because he opened so similarly to the previous game. He has the choice to do the same thing and try to pull it off in a similar way, but TLO will be more ready this time. Or he can play a lot greedier, in which case he hopes that TLO would play a lot more defensive than he did last game and be able to... because look, this time Baneling Nest starts very early and Evo as well. So I think if Drogo realizes that, he only corner boost start probes, he starts taking, he takes a 3rd base, and he's in great position against a TLO that's going to start being really paranoid because he keeps on dying against Adept in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and I don't really think he anticipated the proper, the Oracles coming into the natural at least. I mean, the Spore Crawler started a little bit later.
Is there a 3rd one on the way?
I don't know.
Nope. Yes, so you see he's cutting, he's adjusting, Stalker being whopped in now. And I think Drogo this time around, he can simply go for a 3rd base, start getting his charge going, his Robo, assuming he wants to go for Charge Lot Immortal Archon, and he's going to be in great position. He's out the 1 Evo. I don't think he cares too much about it. He's not worried.
Get himself that free Overlord. Of course, it was there for scouting purposes, having a look about, but other than what he's already seen with the Oracles flying around, the few Adepts at the front,
might still hit, though. Well, usually when you get this many Adepts, you want to attack almost no matter what.
He doesn't have that many gates at the moment, right?
Wow, the Spore not on time here on this base. Queen's gonna die.
Losing a Queen for free, and even drones. They're gonna burrow. Doesn't have energy to reveal those.
The lavas. Oh, Drogo is he's a beast, man.
That's so nice. It's like 1 shot for a lava, right, from the Oracles. So.
And here comes the Adepts knocking on your doorstep. He's lost only 1 Adept so far. That's all he lost.
Those Banelings are burrowed there. There's 3 of them at the bottom of the ramp. But he, with Psionic Transference, he doesn't even have to mind about that at all.
He's going to remove it. God. He snapped some lava as well.
Now this leaves this base once again free to actually put some pressure on. The Lynx could get the wrap around. The 3 Banelings go down. Don't kill any of them. But obviously the Lynx will get the cleanup for the most part.
Yeah, he finally, like, TLO will finally clean up here. But look at the worker count. 49 to 42. Nice, cute little block here on that base. But Lair only starts now here for TLO. And it feels almost as if he needs to be doing damage right now. But since there is overcharge available, I don't think he should be able to.
Where is the mothership core?
Oh, what?
It's way far away.
What is he doing there?
I'm not sure, but that's going to be...
actually a massive mistake.
Yeah. Losing those pylons, losing the potential to take that base as well. Now he has to wall off fully here, as there was the threat of them coming up into the natural. That's it's a bit bad of a spot here for PtitDrogo.
Oh, he gets in.
Whoa!
And remember, TLO has burrow. He can be so annoying here. He can burrow if he remembers he has it, and if he's in trouble, he's just going to fight for now.
You attack, you burrow like 2 or 3 of them, and then you wait for the units to disappear and unburrow them and strike again. That's really, really irritating. Unburrow.
Oh, he forced the revelation, though. That's a lot of energy used. That's fine. That's absolutely fine here. TLO finally found a hole in the weakness of his opponent. Look
Do it again.
Look at Funka. What a beast.
It's beautiful.
Knows everything.
I love it. Yeah.
It looks like these UFO. Drawing stuff like this in fields.
It's crop circles, Oracle crop circles. All right, well, gonna clean that little Ling up at least. But now TLO behind this has had a little bit of breathing room, which is obviously a great spot for him. He can get his Spire on the way, interestingly, along with the Rotron going down. And
no
still
Robo yet, I
weapons.
believe, right?
I don't think a Robo, no.
Yeah, so he's been skipping on that. I mean, like, PtitDrogo's plan to take the 3rd here went to hell.
This? Can he get
he's gonna get a cancel, I think.
Oh my god, if he gets this once again, he's got his spot face on the way behind it, and he didn't even cancel. Oh, PtitDrogo, it's not going well for him here.
The Wunderwunsch, man.
The Wunderwunsch.
Finally starting to make it work. They're getting definitely very paranoid, though, with those spines.
Yeah.
Looks like he's so scared now.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if I've...
And I can't blame him. Oh, Spire, though. Spire is on the way, and TLO really hasn't had to spend too much gas here.
It's all
because he's made only Lings and a couple Roaches, so the Spire also has not been spotted because TLO has kept Drogo so busy. There is no Phoenix down on the map. His opponent's going for a charge. The only anti-air right now is going to be the overcharge.
This is cool stuff. Again,
I mean,
playing this
Archons-
third base for so long is fantastic.
Archons will come into play in a second because he has the Templar Archives, but they cannot go from base to base because there is a wall off. Archons are going to be walked in at the third base, but they can't walk into the main on natural, so Mutas are going to wreak havoc here. And I feel like TLO is in such a good opportunity here, such a good position to even the score here in a second with those Mutas.
You're totally right. He would somehow need to sniff that out and get those Phoenix cranked out very, very fast. But even that would have a hard time dealing with all the Mutalisks that now pop here. He had a Void Ray on the way, but no, he gets those Phoenix now cranking out as quickly as possible.
And this is so cool that I think TLO is already thinking about the transition as well. Behind this, he's not even going to commit on Mutas. He starts a Hydra, then I think he could just get Mass Roach, Ravager, Hydralisk, and then try and hit the third base after having weakened the Protoss tech and economy.
This is so much. He could even get the Mothership Core here, which is great. It's got so much energy for photon overcharges. He throws it down in desperation. A natural mineral line, so he doesn't take much damage there at all. But he already gets the first Phoenix. He needs the mobility. He needs the anti-air mobility.
This has to be so frustrating right now for Drogo. He doesn't have much that can attack here. These Archons are being morphed in. One of those, he's going to get snapped before he even finishes. More probes are going to die. And behind this, TLO is just making more and more units. He knows that he's going to start on pulling really far ahead, and he might just go for a follow-up timing, I think, behind this.
Really good execution here by him, just massing the Hydralisks and Roaches behind it as well. Lurker Den now starts. These Mutalisks just wreaking havoc. There is really not a whole lot these stocks can do.
Lurker then starts. I think if he just gets a bunch of Lurkers and siege that third base, it's going to be almost impossible to hold for PtitDrogo. He has 0 Immortals.
Yeah, there's really not many answers to what's about to hit him. I mean, it's not that many drones behind it. It's 60 drones, but that's all TLO really needs here.
Fourth base is up and running. He can start saturating that as he pleases here.
Yeah. All right, well, even just kind of getting any unit he can with these Mutalisks, he just darts back away once some of them get low, and then he can heal up, get back in there if he wants to. But he knows any unit he trades away, his army is always going to be significantly stronger here.
Overcharge is going to be used. What a series, man.
Been great.
So much action.
So many diverse builds as well, like differences.
A lot of cute little moves. These two really trying to take PvZ to the next level here for us. Playing their absolute best. But right now it's definitely TLO here running the show in this game, starting to pull very far ahead in supply. The Lurker then is about to finish. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a big siege here with Lurkers on the third base of a very busy PtitDrogo, who's basically dancing between his main and natural, even with the Zealous and the Adepts that he has. Trying to stay alive in this game right now.
Just so much extra damage. I mean, not only the damage that he's incurring, but also the fact that he can't be on the other side, putting on pressure himself.
7 cannons on the way, right?
I think,
8 cannons. Okay, I think Drogo has had enough of this Mutas. Sadly for him, he's going to get cannons in the main, cannons in the natural. Lurkers are going to be on your third, mate. That's going to be big, big trouble for you.
And all that money that goes into cannons that will not be useful later on. I mean, now the Mutalisks could just couple up with the front army and plow down that position.
It's funny to think that much in so many of life's games, this all started with the Zergling run-by. Because TLO, I really felt like he wasn't in a particularly good position before this. He wasn't going his way. He was really afraid. He was getting spines back at home. Then suddenly, couple links get in. He remembers he has Burrow, forces a revelation, buys himself a lot of time. Behind this, he has the Spire, starts on applying damage. And since then, TLO's been the one with the initiative. Now he's going to go for the big push. And without Immortals, I don't think he can fight this army.
It's so much. There's only really Zealots to try and buff for this. He lifts up a few of these Lurkers, but that is not going to be enough at all. I mean, the Hydralisks are having the easiest time of their lives with the Lurkers underneath them to push on forwards with this. Just a few more Roaches there, but with the Lurkers now almost on top of that mineral line as well.
They have so much range.
Nothing.
They have so much range here to shoot down everything. Even if Drogo holds here, he's already lost so much. Double the supply now for TLO.
This is beautiful here by TLO. Putting himself back into this series, keeping himself alive. As much as the momentum was swinging towards PtitDrogo after game number 3. That is the tie-up. TLO pushes this onto a game number 5.
The Wunderwunsch.
The Wunderwunsch.
He's back in this series.
He was only gone for 10 minutes.
He was gone for most of the start of the game, actually, up until being run by. Finally started getting him some sick momentum. Kept Drogo really busy back at home, and that's all it takes sometimes. Drogo's macro actually wasn't on point. He didn't start the gateway sometime in his wall back at home.
Yeah.
Lynx got in after killing a gateway that was being produced a little bit too late. And then from there, you just start crumbling under the pressure of your opponent. That somebody like TLO is like one of the faster players that we have out there in Europe in terms of Zerg. Like if you watch his stream, you can see that he's super mechanically sound.
Yes.
And he loves chaotic games.
Yep.
As much as sometimes, you know, it's not going his way and he gets crushed, he loves this kind of game, chaotic. If it's going his way, clearly, like, he will know how to pile on the aggression, the pressure, while macroing properly to go for follow-up timing or even composition. So
You're
this
totally
is just
right.
what happened here.
I mean, Dario's really sped up towards the start of last year, I want to say. I actually had the opportunity to go over to Berlin and visit Dario at his home for a little while. And
you saw the artificial cascade he has where he meditates? No,
I did. There's a special room for it. But I saw how much of a difference there was from like 2014 mid-Dario to 2015 start of
Mid-Dario?
Mid-Dario. I don't know why I was going with that. But he sped up so much, and you can see it in him now. Like, if you just sit back behind him, watch him play, very, very fast.
I almost had a heart attack last time.
Oh, well.
He bounced his keyboard really hard as well.
All right, well, the thing is now we are down to one final map left over. And you can see here, this is just the havoc that TLO
The
causes.
supplies were even, and Drogo was ahead in probes, but we knew by the low amount of anti-air that Drogo had here that he was going to take a lot of damage.
Yes. Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I played a lot of PvZ. I knew personally like, that he just got really bad from here. And then he snipes an Archon here. It's just a disastrous situation here.
You're totally right, though, with the SimCity about, like, I mean,
Yeah.
this base layout alone for Mutalisks is like the playground. Never mind the buildings that are blocking off an Archon from being able to not only get in the natural, but then also into the main. He would have to kill 2 gateways for him
just
to get all the way around.
You know how I knew this was going to happen? Because it happens to me every day, Kev.
No, I'm sorry, buddy.
Literally. I have Archon stuck in my third while Muta cycling everything in the main.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew this was going to happen, and he did. So now Arena to finish things on. Roddy will be so happy here that we finish a best of 5 on Arena. I think it was yesterday. I was talking about how crazy things could get on this map because it's such an unconventional map. The rush distance is so short. Do we see a crazy rush out of either of these guys?
We could
Maybe.
do. We could. I mean, PtitDrogo has not been too much of a stranger with those kinds of builds, but likewise TLO has pulled out some crazy things in the past. Let's get into it. The final game in this best of 5 to find out who moves on to the semi-final. To the bottom left-hand corner, we have our Red Zerg representing Team Liquid. It is TLO. Maybe for one last time here in Leipzig. Gotta be careful, gotta keep his hopes alive here for the German fans in attendance. And then up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss representing My Insanity. It is PtitDrogo.
Oof, not looking nearly as all smiles as he did after some of the previous maps here.
You always accuse me of being a Zerg, and do you want to know a little secret? One of the reasons...
You play Zerg.
Well, I mean, it's not
That's
really
not a secret.
That's not a secret. One of the reasons why I majoritively switched from Protoss to Zerg is because of Mutalisks way back when.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I was getting really annoyed, and I was like, I want to do that.
Wow.
There you go.
Good to know you're a real dirtbag.
I am a douche. I'm sorry. All right, it's going to be Nexus first going up against Hatchery first. So it's like meta game, like always kind of just going against what you would expect on a map like this with the shorter rush distances.
Drogo, though, like on a map like this and with the way things has gone, I really feel like one of the best chances that he would have at winning this would be to just play standard. They've gotten fancy in the previous maps. They did some good stuff that kind of surprised the opponents. And now I really feel like it's time to play a little bit more of a standard game if they wanted to try something like that, so that if the opponent tries something fancy, then you can see it and just crush it by playing solid with the standard play that you can go for. What is standard play, though, you ask me? Well, on this map, going for Charge Lot, Archon, Immortal, just playing solid macro as Protoss with or without a target early on would be solid. For TLO, going Grudge, Hydra, Lurker, Ravager, any kind of attack, unless he doesn't go for an absolute all-in, will be okay as well. I want to see some macro, man. I want to see a longer game. We saw a little bit of everything already out of them, and I think it'd be really cool to see them flexing their macro muscles.
I don't think I've ever seen a game go beyond 3 or 4 bases on this map. I mean, I know that's like where most games end up anyway, but I would love to see like a full long game in Arena because it would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it has to be so close for that to happen, basically.
Yes.
Our players have to be bad and cannot decide to sit back. But usually good players attack and try to make a difference before that, and then somebody either pulls ahead or behind, and then they just close it out.
All right, well, double adept on the way. That's sure fast going to get over that with the psionic transference being quicker than their base movement speed. And even just starting extra little bits of wall, just in case that TLO was to get a bit cheeky himself and get on over there.
I'm going to be paying attention to Drogo's wall off on this map, because I think my wall is so bad.
Your wall?
Every time I get attacked with the Roach Ravager, like this pylon gets sniped and I die, so...
Is it this pylon? Is that the one that you place?
No, I put it closer to the Nexus, personally. But on the left-hand side, you will have 1 or 2 no matter what, but it's more on the right-hand side that I'm not sure. Oh, we've seen this already recently from TLO. It was against Lilbo when they played the Grudge show match for Pizza or GG or something recently.
But the thing is that the other
it really looked
so
like you can't be aggressive against this. Like Lilbo was like, how do you counter this? Like it's really hard to actually be aggressive for this. The thing is though, if this was the first time this was being used here, I feel like Drogo would have gotten surprised and maybe not known how to counter. But no, look at this. Starts a super quick turn Nexus because he knows that as much as he can be aggressive, he knows that his opponent can't either.
I love it.
So I asked for some macro, and in the end, TLO obliged. He's like, oh, you want a macro game, Todd? Let me put the hatchery here and make sure nobody can attack so that we can start droning up and getting some probes and go into a longer game.
Only Dario, the Wunderwunsch, bringing us the hatcheries to block off small little choke points. Love it, love it. And Stargate's going to be the follow-up.
Sick, actually, like. Surely as well, like since this has already been used and against Lilbo as well, which is a player that Drogo lives with.
Yeah.
Drogo is going to know sort of how to play against this and kind of counter. I mean, now there's just poor blocking there, but...
A second gate.
Drogo has already given quite a bit of thought on how to play against this. The double Stargate here is going to be his choice. We already saw him do that earlier and pulling it off very nicely, but it was off a very strong adept harassment earlier in the game. So now this time he's not going to have that playing for him.
Already breaking down these rocks here.
No, he's not. Adept's going to chase him away.
Yeah, okay, fair
Go
play.
home.
Oh, poor little fellas.
Literally the most threatening unit in the game standing there. You want a piece of me? No, we good.
Yeah, bring it, bring it. I back it up!
Franka is like narrating the fight through observing.
What an antagonist.
Does he spot the Stargate or not? Assist 1, assist 2, okay. That's a great scout actually, because TLO now can get Spore sometime. Last time actually he played against this, I didn't feel like he made that many Spores. This time around, I definitely feel like he should really respect that, get double Spore per base, maybe even get some Spores in between his bases.
For a while, he only had the one in the main, which was kind of cutting corners, and then obviously added on later on. So a little bit of a difficult spot to be in. But behind this, I mean, with the position that they're in, with them saying it's almost like the gentlemanly agreement since the hatchery is gone, that it is a bit more towards the later stage. And Charge is on the way, Todd. Charge!
Yeah, and no, the Robo is being skipped here for a very long time by Drogo in some of those games. It really seems like right now he wants to get Charge first, then get his Templar Archive going, and the Forge as well, and then later drop down the Robo.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just going to be the Gateway explosion happening. No guesses on the third just yet, so prioritizing other things here at first from Drogo. I'm pretty sure he's very busy harassing at the same time as well with the Phoenixes.
Getting these Overlords is nice. If you could get like 2 or 3 more, you would still continue to supply block his opponent. 5 have already gone down though. That's a great pickup.
I wonder if TLO is already starting to plan some sort of attack here. Taking down these rocks and going for an attack could be really good here because his opponent open double Stargate, and usually it's very hard to catch up on the ground army to make sure that you can fight against Roaches plus Hydras. But in this case, this might be why Drogo actually skipped in the first place the Robo and made a lot of charge, a lot of charge loss, and he's going to start going into Archons here in a second. Maybe he's already afraid of this kind of attack and he's anticipating it because we saw no fourth base from TLO, which is a big tell. He might just want to attack and put it all on the line here in map number 5.
With this army though, you've got to have a big open space to really do your damage, right? With the Zealots,
but he's going to have it.
Yeah, with this pathway, this might be enough. Although he's blocking off here with pylons.
Army supply is 72 to 46. If TLO starts on shooting those bites and sniping pylons, this could be great for him. Archons are going to start being added on. There's a couple of Phoenixes.
Yeah, he actually prioritizes the pylons that are finished, knowing that the ones at the front could easily be cancelled. Very cool stuff there by TLO, and just baiting out any kind of movement here from the Phoenix.
He needs to wait more. TLO needs to kite here. He can't take a head-on fight against the pylons. He's going to keep on shooting down those bites, taking out pylons. If he can set up on the right-hand side of this Nexus, he's going to get actually flanked from behind.
Got to be very, very careful about that, especially with charge done here. And the Hydralisks are being caught in a very odd position there by the charge lots. 2 Archons at the back, though, are not getting the damage done onto the main army that they would like. But the Phoenix are doing huge damage here, picking up almost everything here. PtitDrogo is going to be able to clean this up handily.
Yeah. He's going to hold very nicely, pulls back one of the Archons to try and save it. A couple force fields go down here as well. The Lurker then is on the way here behind this, but TLO has lost so much already. It's 65 probes to 62 drones. And TLO could be in big trouble here. The saving grace is going to have to be through those Lurkers because no fourth base is on the way.
Really good pushback, but I have to ask you, was that TLO's fault for going into that small choke next to the third?
Yeah, he should have waited way more, and especially since he had already started a Lurker then. If you see that there isn't many Immortals, and I don't think there even was a single one, he could have just sat back, waited for Lurkers to be in the game, to do the job, but now TLO is once again losing patience, he's overcommitting, Time Warp's going to be used. And those roaches are going to get picked up and slain, man.
That leaves their retreat path out a little more precarious because it's not that big a choke to run out through. And even going on towards his fourth base. And maybe trying to force a cancel.
Started the fourth base before Zerg, like that's the first.
Yeah, so all those roaches as well aren't going to have the easiest of time. Reinforcements are just streaming in, but they've got to retreat out as well here. He doesn't want to be losing anything at this point.
Yeah, these are going to get chased. Oh, very nice split actually by Drogo as well, leaving just enough Zealots here to chase down some of these roaches. Burrow is down the way. Where are the Lurkers here? That's the big question.
Todd, we are getting into a proper macro game in all arena.
Actually, I feel like TLO is on the back foot very heavily right now.
After losing the army that he did at the front, it certainly seems like he is on the back foot,
He's just massing Roach and Hydra because he's really scared right now that Drogo is going to attack. And I think Drogo might actually attack, even though he's going for a fourth base. He's just going to have a massive army to work for him. TLO, though, we've seen how well he can do once he gets Lurkers and he sets up defensively. So I think he's going to have to be through another one of those games here if he wants to be able to hold on.
That's very
important. He's actually going through the right-hand side with a huge chunk of army at these roaches.
The thing is that he just needs to make sure that all the Phoenix are still left alive. He's losing a few of them, but they need to be there to pick up Lurkers when the eventual attack comes.
Oh, that's so smart. He's going to snipe the Nexus. And
he's not going to save that.
Use that at the same time to set up the Lurkers offensively, because he knows that there is a pre-concave setup. Time Warp is going to go down, but not finish on time before these queens make it out of the safe zone.
He may lose some queens here, but he's not prioritizing the right thing, because the fourth base is about to fall.
That's the big move here.
Yeah. But how much do you have in defense, actually? Where are the Lurkers?
They are down below.
I'm not even sure where they are. They're in the mineral lines here, just assuming that this might come through.
And actually, the Overlords.
Yeah, Zealots get funneled through there, and actually all of these roaches get caught by a ton of Archons.
That's really weird that he's going to sacrifice these, but Zealots are going to be sent across the map. Both players wasting a lot of their abilities. That hatchery is going to get sniped down. Is there any transfuse here to save it maybe and help?
Trying to keep it alive, but he already lost a lot of the queens in the middle of the map anyway, so they're going to not help at all. The hatchery goes down. He kills off so many roaches, though.
Okay, first thing to look at after this kind of fight. Economy, so 66 probes to 53 drones, much better for Drogo. Army supply, 75 to 68. This is just great for Drogo. He's got +2 on the way now. And I just like his position altogether. There is no upgrades, period, for TLO in this game.
This is pretty difficult for TLO. Look at how many Archons are there as well. That is such a healthy army in this regard. And he even spots this moving in.
I think TLO, this might be like one last effort here to try and push into this. Archons are going to get right in there.
Yeah, he has one observer with this, so that is going to be plenty here to be able to push that away. And that is a big, strong army here from PtitDrogo, who is staring down the barrel of a conceded victory. And that will be GG. TLO is eliminated, and PtitDrogo will advance on to the semi-finals. What a showing from him to move on as far as he has so far. Great games.
He absolutely pumped. That was so solid by him. That's what I was talking about. In such a high-pressure situation, I really feel like playing solid might be one of the best choices in the 5th game. TLO tried to go for a timing, and it just didn't work. Roach, Hydra, and somebody as solid as Drogo. It was a bit of a gamble. I think he was hoping that Drogo will cut a few corners here and there. Tech Casus a little bit too early on his 5th base, on his 3rd base, sorry. Keep on gateways and get a Robo instead, which is personally what I would have done. Probably I would have died against this. But Drogo was like, no, I'm going to get gateways, I'm going to get Templar Archives, make sure that I have Archons by the time you hit me. And he did, and he changed everything. He had just enough units to push back the first push. Then you're on +1 against 0-0 Zerg. You just have to make Immortals and play solid enough to win the game, and that's what happened, even though, you know, TLO had some cute moves like the snipe on that base. Behind this, he sacrificed a lot of roaches. He just wasn't worth it.
That was a great series. I mean, overall, as much as TLO now, yes, is eliminated here in his hometown, it was still a very good showing by him. I mean, TLO always has a good start. My prediction was incorrect. He did not overcome his round of 8 curse. But
yeah, this is really sad, actually. He talked about how he wanted to break the round of 8 thing, but just not going to happen just yet.
No. When you run up against players like PtitDrogo here, that's how it goes down. But this is one of the
first big hold.
Yeah, this was such an important fight. Again, you know, he put himself up towards that third base and then had to get out of it in a very, very odd spot where the Hydralisks were quite vulnerable. But
you know what?
Army's quite squishy.
What all Protosses are feeling right now is probably the same as me. I never have Archons when this comes. I never do, and I die. I die every time this comes, and I complain about Roach Hydra on this map because he's so strong. But guess what? Drogo shows us the way. He's like, if you open with Phoenixes or any kind of aggression, there is a good chance Zerg, or in general on this map, is going to want to go for Roach Hydra. So you get your gateways before, you get your Templar Archives, and you make sure that you have enough in case this kind of attack hits. And he did have enough.
And again, you know, if it comes and you still have some of those Phoenix, they can be great to help out the fight. They are so brilliant with actually helping out that fight. They actually, even if you pick up Hydralisks, they're able to shred them up really, really fast as well if you actually have a few. So that's really good stuff. So congratulations once again to PtitDrogo as we now head over to Smix City to find out exactly what he thinks.
Thank you very much, Claris. Drogo, that was an absolutely phenomenal series. And after, you know, your StarCraft 2 career, before today, your highest finish at a premier event was actually placing top 20 at the recent Legacy of the Void Championship. But today, you're now in the top 4. You've already secured, I believe, $5,000 as well as 400 WCS points. I mean, that's absolutely amazing.
Yes, it's pretty good. I think it's the first time that I do well in a premier event. So pretty amazing right now.
So we already spoke to Snoot a little bit earlier, and he said you've been an absolute practice machine, that you've been, you know, practicing non-stop. He mentioned that you guys have been practicing together as well. So do you think that, your results here are just like a culmination of all your efforts leading up to this event?
Yeah, like, it's funny that Snoot mentioned it because we play a shit ton, and right before this tournament, we already played a shit ton instead of sleeping. So, yeah, like, sometimes when you practice, it pays off, and I'm happy this is one of those times.
All right, well, let's jump into that series because it was absolutely action-packed. It went to all 5 maps. And, I mean, I don't even know where to start because all of those games are really interesting. But I guess let's start with Game 1. Obviously, it didn't go in your favor. You went with some adept aggression, and it didn't work out because TLO's response was to just counter, and it ended up just killing you. So what do you think went wrong with that?
This, like, the build, actually, I fucking hate the map. I think as a Zerg player, if you lose on this map, you have some problems in your head, but sometimes you can like trick them out. So this is a bit like, you make 2 adepts fast, you take the gold, then you make more adept. Like, it's really, like, I practice this a lot, except that it took my gas at the main. So eventually it was like, okay, Mothership Core, go kill the gas in the main. And I forgot to bring him back to my second base. Because when it does the counter, if my Mothership Core is instantly here overcharging the pylon, I completely crush the counter. And then I have a depth in rebases and it's fine. Like, he just killed the pylon before I could overcharge them and I lose Stalker for free. Like, it's just a bit of a positioning problem.
Yeah, well, Game 2 obviously was the reverse. It worked out in your favor. I'm wondering, because as we were watching the game on the couch over here, it kind of seemed like TLO was getting a little bit too fancy. Maybe he was trying to do too much with his tech. And what did you think from your perspective?
Okay, so in that game, like, all of the fancy stuff he did was good. Honestly, like, I remember, like, I was trying to go for Warp Prism. The first one died. The second one is just Unburrow and Festers and Fangle it. So, like, he did a lot of good stuff. But, like, the more brutal aspect of StarCraft 2, making drones constantly, not losing a shit ton of Overlord to Phoenixes, not losing a shit ton of drone to Phoenixes, like, having a big army, he kind of failed in those aspects. I feel like if he played more macro focus while doing that fancy stuff, I wouldn't have stood a chance, because I played pretty bad Dust Tower compared to what I usually do in practice.
And I always wanted to ask, because aside from the interesting things that TLO seemed to do, he wasn't relying as much in the later ends of the games, or at least I think about the Lorelei Crest game, it seemed like he wasn't entirely sure what to do. Did you gain confidence as you went through the match? Because it seemed like all the way up until the very end, it was TLO kind of making a few questionable choices, like not having, of course, the Roach Horn on Lorelei Crest, but also putting all of his roaches in your third once he killed your 4th base in the last game. And, on the couch, we thought that was like the biggest mistake.
No, I knew that I would win at that point. Like, if he wants to kill my 4th, good shit, but he's never gonna kill my army.
Okay, fair enough.
But no, like, I was actually really stressed because, like, TLO maybe he doesn't have this rep to the people, but he's really cheesy in ZvP. He's actually really cheesy, and he didn't cheese me. So, like, the reason I went for like 2 get super aggression was I wanted to blind counter a cheese, which never happened. So that's why in the last map I was like, oh fuck it, Nexus first and Urena, whatever. He's not
Okay.
All right, fair enough. You're really dropping the words here, making it a real talk interview here with Drogo. But now let's move on to more general overarching view. I mean, obviously, coming up to this the round of 8, you already defeated some really strong players. In fact, you beat Neeb right before this to 3-2, and Neeb has been talked about recently as being a really strong player. A lot of different players have been talking about playing him on the EU ladder, and said he's actually been a really difficult opponent. So, I mean, how did you feel about that? Did that give you confidence in your PvP?
Yeah, well, like Neeb, I'm one of those guys that says that Neeb is really good. Like it was really a shame. I was really scared going up against him because the funny thing is that I actually steal some of his builds. Like on some map, I don't know what to do, so I just do what Neeb does. And so I was kind of scared to play against him, but I got pretty lucky in my, like, you didn't see that, but I made some carriers, which is really good. So I won a few games with that. A game I got lucky with DT, and I don't know. I got lucky, I think.
All right, well, your next matchup is either going to be Showtime or Euthermal. And obviously, both of those players are really strong players. Now, Showtime goes without being said. He got top 4 at the recent Legacy of the Void Championship. Euthermal has been on fire at this event, especially his last series was against Hearthstone. He 3-0'd him. So how do you feel about these two players, and who do you think will come up to meet you?
It's weird because I don't want to play Showtime because there's a lot of replays of me if you watch the VOD versus Nim, so this is going to be really tricky. It's the same for me because he's played versus Lilbo, so we're both going to know what each other does, and in this kind of game it's always really, really hard to play. I'm really comfortable with Euthermal. In practice, I win versus Euthermal. On ladder, it's a tendency to win versus him. But a Euthermal that will 3-0 Hearthstone on win versus Showtime, I'm not sure if I'm that confident versus a Euthermal like that. So we will see.
All right, we'll see. And last but not least, you know, obviously top 4 is a great finish. There's a lot of fans that showed up today that weren't able to make it yesterday. They're lining up here behind you. So what is it like to, you know, get the highest finish you've ever gotten on a LAN event in Leipzig, Germany with these fans behind you?
Well, I mean, the German fan were cheering for TLO.
This is true. This is true. So you killed one German opponent, and you might face the last German opponent, Showtime, if he moves on, so.
Would you like an extra bodyguard at this event, is what we're trying to ask you.
I think he'll do fine.
I think it will be fine.
All right.
All right, fair enough. Well, best of luck in your next match. We'll see who moves on to face Drogo. It'll be either Showtime or Euthermal that will come up in our next match of the day after this commercial break.